So every year I have the great fortune, my favorite weeks of the year, is I get to go to Eretz Yisrael, I get to go to Israel with 200 men. We run a men's trip. I don't know if people in the room that are on the trip. Guys from every background and denomination. No knowledge required. Just 200 guys barreling through Israel. There's nothing like it. And every year we end the week on Friday night, second to last day, and we go to Friday night to the Kotel, and we basically, think of 200 guys at the Kotel together. We have a davening there, and it's unbelievable. And every year there's a group of people that bring soldiers into the old city for Shabbos, and we time it that when we're done, the soldiers come in and dance with the guys. It's unbelievable. And the guys turn around when they're finished praying, and there are 30, 40, 50 soldiers that have come in, and they embrace them, and they dance with them. It's so awesome. Well, one year, when I got there, they brought soldiers, but they weren't regular soldiers. They were covert soldiers. They were like, intelligence soldiers, so they were in plain clothes. And he's like, I'm like, what's They look like Israelis. I don't know. Every Israel looks like a soldier to me. I don't know the difference. I think my whole family's in the Mossad because they live in Israel. Like, I don't know, I'm American. I want to see like that. The whole point was I want them walking in. I want them seeing green. I want them seeing guns. I don't want them seeing like some guy that's got like a gun in like his shoe. That doesn't do anything for me. So the guy's like, oh, I'm sorry. I'm like, See, he felt bad for me. So he gave me a consolation prize. He goes, listen, in the back of the Kotel, there's their commander. No one knows the guy's name. He's basically invisible. But this guy's been in the intelligence community for 40 years. I'm like, what? He goes, yeah, he's a total hero. I'm going to introduce him. You go talk to him for 5 minutes. I'm like, done. So I went over to talk to him, and he forgot one little piece. He forgot to introduce me. So you can imagine how uncomfortable it is. I walk over to some guy who's standing there in the back minding his business, and I'm like as if I'm like supposed to talk to him. I'm like, hey. He's like, shalom. I'm like, so you must, I'm like lost. I'm like, so you must have always wanted to be in the army. He's like, no. I'm like, oh, okay. I'm like, you must be really brave. He's like, no, I'm not. By nature, I'm not brave. I'm like, okay, I'll just stand here and be quiet so you don't shoot me. And I'm just standing there quietly. And then he's an intelligence officer. Like, the guy knows everything. So he puts the whole thing together in like a second. He goes, oh, you with the group? I'm like, yeah. He goes, I'm manhig. I'm like, in a second, he gets the whole thing. And he's like, you want to hear how I joined the army? I'm like, yes. Here's what he tells me. He says, my father fought. Before the IDF, there was these groups of defense, mini armies in Israel. They were different pockets of different groups. And his father was in one of them. This is before the state was founded. And one time they had a mission, and my father was in the mission. My father got shot. But he was scared to go to the hospital because he was scared to expose his group. So instead he came home. And I remember the day like it was yesterday. He goes, my father walked in, it was like pandemonium in my house. My mother was pulling curtains off shelves and trying to stem the bleeding and tying it around him. And my job was to run down the block into an apartment and knock on the door because there was one doctor there who was our secret doctor that when we knocked on the door a couple of times, whatever, he came running and I knocked, the doctor said, I'm coming. He came running and it was just pandemonium in my house. Doctors and my mother and my father, it was horrible. But after a little bit, we stemmed the bleeding and everything looked okay. And they set up like a mini hospital room in our house, in our apartment. He said, one night, I was walking by to get to my room. My father calls me in. He says, come here. Go sit down at the edge of the bed. I sit down. He looks at me in a voice like I've never heard. And he says, it's time. I said, Abba, what's it time for? He says, it's time for you to be a man. And I said, nah, but come on, I'm 11 years old. What are you talking about? And my father said, again, it's time for you to be a man. And I said, Abba, why are you saying that for? And he said it again. It's time for you to be a man. And I said, oh, no. Oh, no, Abba. You can't leave us. Oh, no. We're not ready. Ima needs you. I need you. Everybody. Oh, no. Don't do that. Don't do that. I'm 11 years old. I'm not a brave kid. I cannot do this. I cannot do this. My father again slowly said, it's time for you to become a man. And I said, Abba, I am not able to be a man. And my father got upset at me. And he said, Abel, You think you have to be able? Is that what you think? He goes, my father wasn't a religious man, but he knew every person in our history. Because you think Abraham, you think Abraham, you think Abraham was able when Hashem asked him to bring monotheism into the world? You think Yosef was able when he was asked and tasked with changing the entire world's food consumption? You think Moshe was able to go up against the strongest man basically in antiquity, Paro, and bring the Jews? You think David was able to become the king? You think anybody is ever able to be the person they're meant to be? You don't have to be able. You have to be willing. And if you're willing, you'll find the ability. God will give you the ability. I'm not asking you to be able. I'm asking you to be willing. Are you willing? He goes, every single day, every mission, every tour, every day for the rest of my life, I woke up in the morning and I said, I am not able to do this. But my Father thinks I am, so I am willing. You see, one of the greatest parts of what it means to be in this world is how we were created. When God created the world, first he created angels, but they didn't pay attention. That's not fun. Then he created animals, but no one pays attention either. That's not fun. So what he did was he took an animal. He did something so amazing. Hashem took an animal, put it on its two legs, and the creator of humanity, for a minute, just for a second tonight, just try to grapple that. The creator of humanity took a piece of himself, kiviyachal, and placed it inside you. That means if your eyes are open right now, what's generating you, what's powering you right now is literally a piece of the divine. You're indestructible because that's how you're made. You know why the hero's moment's even possible? Because there's nothing in the world that can possibly stop the infinite, and you're built with the infinite. The reason why we don't go down is because once we realize who we are, nothing could bring us down. The passion for greatness is not to become great. The reason why we have a passion for greatness is because greatness is imbued inside us. We never have to be great. We have to reveal greatness. Because the power that we have comes from the core of who we are. Never sell yourself shorter than the hero. And when life throws you challenges, we remember that we're candles. God gave us something. He gave us a piece of him and said, go out there and light up the world. You don't go down. Things get hard, you keep on chugging. You'll find the piece of yourself you didn't know existed before.